Leroy Dent. He was their fourth child. Wiley grew up, lived, and farmed on Dent Road in Crawford County his entire life. He marries Eva Hamlin in December 1909, and they have 7 children. It shows Rufus, and that's Rufus Lee Dent. We also have a Rufus Leroy Dent we talked about earlier. This is Rufus Lee Dent. Okay, slide. Go back. There we go. Thank you. This is Rufus Lee Dent on the left, Rosalind Dent, and Eva Dent, and some other family members. Wiley Cleveland Dent was Wiley and Eva's second son. Wiley Cleveland marries Mildred Berkner and moves to Macon. He becomes a foreman for a road construction company there. Today we honor someone who gave their all for their family as well as gave all for their country. Ray Dent was Wiley and Eva Dent's third son. Ray served in the North African Theater in World War II. Ray served as part of the 701st Tank Destroyer Battalion, which fought in support of the United States Army's 1st Armored Division and the 4th Corps. They liberated Rome in Italy in early June of 1944 and pressed northward toward the Arno River near Pisa and Florence. Ray was part of C Company, and on the morning of 11 July, C Company, known as Charlie Company, found themselves south of the town of La Antigua. Private Ray Dent was killed in action the following day, 12 July 1944, served in World War II. Robert Clifford Dent served in the United States Army aboard the USS Saratoga and USS Bailey. After the war, Robert married Geraldine Kaiser, and he and his family owned and operated a large chicken farm on Columbus Road, just west of Macon, Georgia. Here's Robert Dent with his shipmates aboard the USS Bailey in 1943.
Otha Ziegler Dent, 1882, 1908. I wonder why Kelly picked me to talk about him. Otha Ziegler Dent was Sidney and Emma Dent's 4th son. The Crawford County Correspondent newspaper in 1902 that Otha Ziegler and some friends went to Alabama to seek their fortune. Otha Dent was 20 years old when he left home on Dent Road in Crawford County. He found work with the railroad there in Alabama. In 1908, 26-year-old Otha was on a train and on his way to work with the railroad when the unfortunate happened. Otha was not a union member, and a railroad union member who were on strike attacked the train in which he was a passenger. Otha was shot and killed during the ride. Less than 2 years later, Otha's older brother, William Henry Dent, names his new son, Otha Jack Dent, in honor of his younger brother who has been killed. Dent. He died early, but he had a very rough life.
Emma Elizabeth Dent, known as Lizzie, she was Sidney and Emma Dent's second daughter. Lizzie Dent married Green Fountain in 1909, and Green Fountain was a carpenter in the local area and built many homes in Middle Georgia, and actually you can still find them today. He and Lizzie also farmed. They raised their two sons, Lewis and Dreyfus Fountain, on their farm in Houston and later Peach County. Sydney and Emma's youngest daughter was Van Virginia Dent. She married Robert Culverhouse, and they raised their family in Knoxville, Georgia. Robert and Van Culverhouse had 6 children. Pictured here in the early 1940s is Van with her oldest son, Bud. Bud served during World War II, and the family had gathered together to see Bud off. One of Bud's first cousins was also there that day, Robert Clifford Dent, as he was also shipping out within a few days. Finally, Sidney Washington Dent Jr. Sid, as he was known, grew up on the family farm in Crawford County. He is pictured here in the reunion photo. Sid served in World War I in the 157th Depot Brigade as a military police officer. Sid was a quiet man by nature, but on occasion Sid would tell the story of one day having to escort a deserter, a prisoner. Sid was told to bring him back, dead or alive, and if Sid did not, then Sid would become the prisoner. The prisoner tried to escape, and at the very last moment, before the prisoner would be gone, Sid shot and killed the prisoner. This incident would trouble Sidney Washington Dent the rest of his life. Sidney Washington Dent returned to Crawford County, and after the war, became a carpenter. And in 1938, at the age of 45, Sid passed away from typhoid fever. At the time, he was being cared for by his sister, Van Dent Culverhouse, at her home in